The Gati Festival is known as the world's largest animal sacrifice. Every 5 years in southern Nepal, tens of thousands of animals are brutally slaughtered by devotees of the Gati temple during a religious festival attended by hundreds of thousands of people. The ritual killers believe these sacrifices will bring them good fortune. Animals at the Gati festival are forced to travel for many hours, even days, without food or water, only to be violently killed once the event begins. The festival's attendees have no experience slaughtering animals and often take multiple strikes to kill them. Along with these gruesome killings, our investigations into the festival have revealed numerous atrocities, including the sexual abuse of animals, calves freezing to death, and devotees cutting the ears off goats and buffaloes. In 2014, animal equality was at the forefront of the effort to end the slaughter. Thanks to our tireless campaigning and collaborative efforts, there was an estimated 70% reduction in the number of large animals sacrificed compared to 2009.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel here. It's me here, Lavender here, and today I'm back with another anti-capitalism deep dive true crime deep dive video topic. Today I want to do the pure evil files, the religion organization files, deep dive, capitalism, million-dollar megachurches and preachers, drug cartels, child abuse, religious trauma, unethical and forced adoptions, sex abuse cover-up, Sharia law, child marriage, honor killings, femicide, indigenous native boarding school atrocities, mission trips, Mother Teresa, capitalism, colonization, slavery ties, religious hypocrisy, and much more. So let's get started into this YouTube video topic. But before we get started, all my YouTube videos that are related to this topic will be on the screen right now. But if you want to check them out, they're on my channel. So let's get started in the topic at hand. Animal sacrifice in the name of religion. Freedom is a disgusting, vile practice that needs to be stopped. Every single year, millions of animals are murdered, unalived in the name of religion, ceremonies, and festivals. It's time for us to end this senseless violence towards animals, some of the most innocent creatures on this earth. These animals are frequently tortured before they are murdered, and their blood is used in ceremonies that are believed to grant good fortune and wealth to those involved. Religions that take part in animal sacrifices include Santeria, is an Afro-Cuban religion that combines elements of Catholicism with traditional African beliefs. Animal sacrifice is a central part of this religion. Chickens, goats, dogs are frequently unalived during these ceremonies. They believe that the more an animal struggles or fights back during the sacrifice, that more special strength the animal has, and this strength will be passed on to the spirits and those involved in the sacrifice. This leads to incredibly heinous and painful torture death rituals where they force the animal to struggle to make the sacrifice better, aka pure animal abuse. Voodoo is another religion that originated in Haiti. The animal sacrifice is also the central part of this faith. Chickens, goats, pigs, and dogs, and even turtles in some cases, are sacrificed during religious ceremonies. The animal's blood is used to seal deals with spirits. Voodoo practitioners believe the animal must struggle during the sacrifice for the ritual to be effective. This leads to many animal torture methods being used. Hinduism is a primary religion practiced in India. The animal sacrifice has been a part of it for thousands of years. Goats, sheep, water buffalo, and many other animals are sacrificed every single year in the name of Hindu gods and goddesses. And these festivals, which can last up to 10 days, hundreds or even thousands of animals are sacrificed. Animal sacrifice is still a very real problem in today's world. These innocent beings and animals are being tortured and killed for no reason than someone's religious beliefs. And guess what? It's legal.
I just let those comments kind of roll right off my back because I wanted him to answer our questions. If I were to get defensive or, say something back to him that would have been ugly, then maybe he would have gotten into his car and driven away. And our purpose, of course, was to try to get him to talk.
Because I
want to get to that thing about the demons.
Yes, please.
The Bible says in the book of Ephesians, oh God, I love this. We wrestle not with people.
At the end of the day, when that, 11 or 12-minute conversation was done, we looked at it and we thought that our viewers might want to see the entire conversation. It was one of the wildest interviews I've ever done for Inside Edition. This was one of the first times that we've ever put out an entire interview. I think people like to see the approach.
Reverend Copeland! Hi, I'm Lisa Guerrero with Inside Edition. How are you?
I think they enjoyed seeing the banter going back and forth. You know, he pushed back on some of my questions and I pushed back on some of his answers.
Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
This Roman Catholic chapel in Mexico is raising eyebrows and drawing the ire from many, not for anything being said or done inside, but rather how it came about to begin with. It turns out this church in the central part of the country was built with money from the leader of one of Mexico's most violent drug gangs. In fact, there's a plaque on the wall thanking him for it. So how can that be? Well, the spokesman for Mexico's Bishops' Council says priests are prohibited from accepting donations, but adds that drug lords who are looking for redemption sometimes give money to churches, and some priests are too frightened of the men to turn it down.
No dudamos que alguno pueda caer.
But that may not be the case here. One priest says that they had never heard of the man before and vows church leaders in Mexico City were not aware of the donation. The man in question has a bounty hanging over him in excess of $7 million. However, some of the faithful here say they don't see what's wrong with the drug kingpin giving money to a church.
They look like the homes of the rich and famous. Glamorous, multi-million-dollar mansions in stunning locations.
I have a name to my house, La Maison de Rêve, the House of Dreams.
But movie stars don't live there.
Are you financially independent like I am? I know what the heck I'm talking about.
They're some of America's biggest megachurch pastors.
Faith comes to a climax and produces.
Like Kenneth Copeland, who lives in this $6 million complex outside Dallas.
You may think that house is too big. I don't care what you think.
You want to know how big it is? It's 40,000 square foot.
And Reverend Jesse Duplantis, who lives in this mega mansion outside New Orleans.
I'm protected from recessions and depressions.
This type of lavish lifestyle with private jets and sprawling estates has been spoofed in HBO's hit comedy series, The Righteous Gemstones.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Well,
They're just trying to grab as much money as they can. It's pure greed.
Critics like Pete Evans of the televangelist watchdog group, the Trinity Foundation, say these preachers are using a legal way to avoid paying property taxes on their pricey homes.
You and I are financing their rich lifestyles.
Tax records show that each of these mansions is owned by the preachers' churches, which qualifies them to be tax-free under the parsonage exemption.
The parsonage tax exemption is a way for a church or religious organization to buy a piece of residential property, have their pastor live in it, and then not pay property taxes on that parsonage. It's essentially a way to make the pastor's life a little bit easier and can live a little bit cheaper.
Political scientist and pastor Ryan Burge believes the exemption should be used to help out pastors like Jason Fishburne, who lives in a more modest home with his wife and family where they host church events.
Everything from hosting gatherings to letting people come stay when they're in crisis, making meals for people out of your kitchen.
It's the kind of job that really becomes more of a lifestyle in many ways.
They say what little money they save on their property taxes is crucial to help make ends meet.
Things would be much tighter for us, for sure, without the exemption.
But take a look at these megachurch pastor examples. This home, owned by Redemption Church, where Pastor Ron Carpenter lives, is listed for sale on Redfin for almost $8 million.
If you have a multi-million-dollar house, your property tax bill could be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. But if it's classified as a parsonage, now you don't have to pay property taxes on that home. That $50,000 could pay the salary of an elementary school teacher in your local public school.
But according to tax records, the church paid no property taxes on it last year. Pastors Ivy and Bridget Hilliard live in this Spring, Texas complex owned by New Light Church World.
When I fly to my home and I see it, how it's spread out, and I look at all that God has blessed me with, and I think I thought about walking off, I'm glad I pressed my way. Amen, amen.
Records show it's worth $8 million, but they paid no property taxes last year. And this preacher pad may be the biggest of all the parsonages in America. The mansion behind me is where Pastor Jesse Duplantis lives. It's located outside New Orleans, and he has said it cost about $20 million to build. And he often brags about all the valuable artwork inside. But records from last year show neither Duplantis nor his church paid a single cent in taxes on this property.
I have the biggest house of any preacher in America. I'm saying that on television. You don't think they're going to nail me next week when I get home?
Duplantis didn't return our calls or emails, so we caught up with him in this Georgia church parking lot.
We wanted to ask you if you're paying property taxes on your mansion in Louisiana.
The pastor's first public response to the storm was to ask his 6 million followers on Twitter to join him in prayer for his fellow Texans. But many on social media were not satisfied and said, "You can do better."
This morning, Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church is open for business.
There you go, sugar. Do you need a towel?
Taking in Harvey evacuees and truckloads of donations after facing a storm of criticism. The 16,000-seat megachurch near downtown Houston, once the Houston Rockets basketball arena, now owned by the celebrity televangelist. His sermons followed by 7 million people.
God's got this.
When Harvey slammed into Texas, Pastor Joel initially offered prayers, but little else, and social media pounced, his critics demanding more. "Open your church as a shelter," one person wrote. "Provide food and clothing, please." A fellow pastor tweeting, "You have a huge obligation to show the love of Christ at this very moment. Open the doors." The church says the building was inaccessible due to severe flooding. Pictures the church posted seem to confirm that. Later, others responded with their own, less dramatic pictures from outside the venue.
Megachurches are ideal grounds for drug cartels to launder money. In the bustling heart of a city lies a towering structure, not of steel and glass, but of faith and fever. It's a megachurch where thousands gather weekly to seek solace, redemption, and community. Yet beneath the surface of this beckoning of religious devotion, there lurks a shadowy alliance, one that intertwines the sacred and profane in a web of illicit transactions. The unholy partnership between megachurches and drug cartels. On the outside, these megachurches appear as sanctuaries for spirituality, adorned with ornate architecture and bustling with worshipers. But within their vast halls, amidst the choirs and prayers, lies an opportunity too tempting for criminal enterprises to ignore. The perfect cover for laundering millions in dirty money. But for drug cartels, these offerings represent a golden opportunity to camouflage their ill-gotten gains amidst the tide of legitimate donations. Unlike small congregations, megachurches handle vast sums of money, making it way easier to conceal suspicious transactions within the torrential flow of funds. Moreover, the lax financial oversight common in many religious organizations provides the perfect smokescreen cover for illicit activities to flourish unchecked. Furthermore, the tax-exempt status enjoyed by megachurches shields them from prying eyes of government regulators, further obscuring the trail of dirty money. With limited reporting requirements and minimal transparency, these institutions offer a safe haven for criminal enterprises seeking to whitewash their ill-gotten gains. Yet the allure of megachurches for money launderers extends beyond their institutional structure. It's fueled by insatiable greed of certain ministers who see their positions not as calls to serve but as opportunities for personal enrichment. These so-called prosperity preachers flaunt their Olympian lifestyles, boasting multi-million-dollar mansions, fleets of luxury cars, and private jets paid for by the generosity contributions of their flock. For drug cartels, these displays of wealth present an irresistible opportunity for collision. Behind the gilded facade of prosperity lies a murky world of backroom deals, under-the-table arrangements, where dirty money flows freely in exchange for the silence and complicity of church leaders. Not just all this, but its total clownery, that megachurch leaders live in luxury capitalist mansions. Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen are some of the wealthiest U.S. pastors. Kenneth Copeland lives in a $7 million tax-free estate, considered the wealthiest pastor in America, with an alleged estimated net worth of $760 million. Televangelist Kenneth Copeland is in hot water after an extensive investigation by the Houston Chronicle revealed how he had been living in a tax-free mega mansion worth $7 million and paid for by Texas taxpayers for years. In 2007, Copeland's ministry, which reportedly owns a $20 million jet and other small jet next to a private airport established by the church, was asked about using the planes for his friends and personal vacations.
I was active in the gay community for 13 years.
I was in it for 6 years, then struggled for 5 years before finding true freedom.
It was 13 years for me.
4 for me. We both walked away from it.
I personally came out of the homosexual lifestyle.
And we're just saying that if you want to change, there is a way to do it.
I spent a lot of time thinking, how did I believe that?
We take a look inside a disturbing practice. Parents worry that their children might be gay, sending them to programs promising to change their child's sexual orientation. ABC's Brian Ross visited some of these organizations across the country in a year-long investigation and found that in some cases, their methods can range from simply controversial to extremely cruel.
Okay, so this is a bit of a rush job.
Actor Jeremy Jordan was busy filming his role as Supergirl's sidekick in the popular CBS series.
Are you crying?
No.
When he got some news that would affect him. The news about his 17-year-old lesbian cousin Sarah, who had been sent away by her parents.
They were taking drastic measures and putting her away for being gay, and she was terrified.
Sarah Jabert was being held incommunicado at the Heartlight Christian Boarding School outside Hallsville, Texas, a well-kept, sprawling, ranch-like facility. Her parents deny they sent her here because she had a girlfriend, but Heartlight says it is a place of refuge for teens, including lesbians. Under Alabama's religious freedom law, there is no requirement for this place to be licensed or supervised because it is considered part of a Christian ministry.
For every camp like this, there are 100 more that nobody knows about, that nobody's exposing on TV.
Including another place we discovered in Alabama, outside Mobile, unlicensed and surrounded by barbed wire, run by this man, William Knott, who also calls himself a Christian pastor, but has a track record of physical abuse and cruelty.
Everybody was scared of him.
Lucas Greenfield, a gay teen from Florida, was sent to Knott's Camp at the age of 13 by his Christian parents.
Thrown in isolation and beaten and everything else.
Because
they were assumed to be gay.
Gay was a sin?
Gay is a sin, gay is evil, gay is the worst abomination to God. Gay.
And then the verdict, guilty on all counts. Knott and 2 other so-called Christian pastors taken away in handcuffs, sentenced to 20 years in prison, a sentence the judge said he hopes sends a message across the country.
The lies and dangers of efforts to change sexual orientation or gender identity or conversion therapy is a dangerous practice that targets lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer plus youth and seeks to change their sexual or gender identities. This so-called therapy, sometimes known as reparative therapy, is a range of dangerous and discredited practices that falsely claim to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity or expression. Such practices have been rejected by every mainstream medical and mental health organization for decades, but due to continuing discrimination and bias against the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer plus people, some practitioners continue to conduct conversion therapy. Minors are especially vulnerable, and conversion therapy can lead to depression, anxiety, drug use, homelessness, and suicidal thoughts. Some right-wing religious groups promote the concept that an individual can change their sexual orientation or gender identity either through prayer or other religious efforts. Religious trauma still haunts millions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer plus Americans. Swift Goddess is among the 1 in 3 adults in the United States who have suffered from religious trauma at some point in their life, according to a 2023 study published by the Socio-Historical Examination of Religion and Ministry Journal. That same study suggests up to 1 in 5 U.S. adults currently suffer some major religious trauma symptoms. Religious trauma occurs when an individual's religious upbringing has lasted adverse effects on their physical, mental, or emotional well-being. According to the Religious Trauma Institute, symptoms can include guilt, shame, loss of trust, and loss of meaning in life. While religious trauma hasn't officially been recognized or classified as a mental disorder in the Diagnosed and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, there is a debate among psychiatrists about whether that should change. The concept of religious trauma has been around for centuries, and according to experts, it can have serious consequences that can last a lifetime. In its worst manifestations, it's basically mind rape, said Marlene Weinel, a psychologist who coined the term religious trauma syndrome in 2011. These doctrines are taught to you over and over again and are so damaging and so hideous and hard to weed out. In many cases, you have been violated, you have been abused, or you've been shamed, and its impact is very deep and can be everlasting trauma. I came to realize I had gone to war after all.